Have you ever noticed something strange? You get a raise, and somehow you're still broke. You get a better paying job, and somehow the money still disappears. You start making more than you did 5 years ago, but your financial life doesn't feel dramatically different. Maybe your house is nicer, your car is newer, your phone is better. You eat at better restaurants. You travel more. You subscribe to more services. You buy things you couldn't afford before. And yet, at the end of the month, you're still wondering, where did all the money go? This is one of the most overlooked financial problems of our generation. It's called lifestyle inflation. And here's the uncomfortable part. Lifestyle inflation doesn't always look like extravagance. Sometimes it looks like success. You get a promotion. So you move into a nicer apartment, you get another raise, so you upgrade the car, your business starts doing well. So suddenly, the things you used to consider luxuries become normal. Then another raise comes. And instead of your savings increasing dramatically, your lifestyle increases dramatically. You aren't necessarily wasting money. You may simply be spending more because you now have the ability to spend more. And that's exactly why lifestyle inflation is so dangerous. Because it can make you look wealthier while preventing you from actually becoming wealthier. Imagine two people, let's call them Daniel and Michael. Both earn $4,000 a month. Both work hard. Both love God. Both want to build a better financial future. Then they both get a raise. Their income increases to $6,000 a month. Daniel thinks, finally, I can breathe. He increases his rent, gets a newer car, starts eating out more, upgrades his phone, adds several subscriptions, takes more expensive vacations. He isn't thinking, I'm going to destroy my finances. He's thinking, I've worked hard. I deserve this. And maybe he does deserve to enjoy some of the fruit of his labor. But there's a problem. His expenses have quietly risen from $3,700 a month to almost $5,800. His income increased by $2,000, but his financial margin increased by only $100. Michael takes a different approach. He enjoys some of the raise. Maybe he improves his living situation. Maybe he buys something he's wanted for years. But he doesn't allow every extra dollar to become a new monthly obligation. He increases his savings, pays down debt, invests, gives, builds an emergency fund, and keeps some of his previous lifestyle. 5 years later, they both remember the raise, but they experience it very differently. Daniel remembers it as the time when life finally became more expensive. Michael remembers it as the time when his financial future finally changed. That's the difference between earning more and becoming financially stronger. One of the most important biblical principles about money is found in Luke 16:10. Jesus says, "Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much." Notice what Jesus doesn't say. He doesn't say, "Whoever earns a lot is successful." He talks about faithfulness, because biblical financial wisdom isn't primarily about the size of your income. It's about what you do with what passes through your hands. And that changes the question. Instead of asking, how much more can I afford now? Ask, what should this increase accomplish? That is a completely different mindset. A raise can increase your lifestyle, or it can increase your freedom. It can increase your consumption, or it can increase your capacity to give. It can increase your monthly obligations, or it can decrease them. It can make you look richer, or it can actually make you wealthier. Now let's make something very clear. Lifestyle inflation doesn't mean Christians should never enjoy better things. That's not biblical. There is nothing inherently sinful about moving into a better home. There's nothing inherently sinful about buying a reliable car. There's nothing inherently sinful about traveling. There's nothing inherently sinful about enjoying good food. The problem isn't improvement. problem is when every increase in income automatically produces an increase in consumption, because then you aren't controlling your lifestyle. Your lifestyle is controlling you, and eventually you reach a dangerous point. You need your current income just to maintain your current life. That's when a high income can become a trap, because now losing your job doesn't simply mean losing income. It means losing the lifestyle you've become dependent on. Let's say you receive an extra $1,500 every month. You could use that money to build your future, but instead you create $1,200 of new monthly expenses. A better car payment, a more expensive apartment, more dining out, more subscriptions, more shopping, more convenience. Now you've created something that didn't exist before, dependency on the raise. And this is where lifestyle inflation becomes more than a budgeting problem. It becomes a freedom problem, because every new recurring expense is a small commitment against your future income. And eventually your paycheck arrives already spoken for. Here's another one. You've worked hard, you've sacrificed, you've had difficult years. Then finally you start earning more and you think, I deserve to enjoy my money. There's nothing wrong with enjoying the fruit of your labor, but there's a question worth asking. Does enjoying my money require increasing my permanent expenses? Because there's a difference between a reward and a recurring obligation. A nice dinner is a reward. A vacation is a reward. Buying something you've wanted can be a reward. But a larger house creates a permanent payment. A more expensive car creates a permanent payment. A more expensive lifestyle creates dozens of permanent payments. And permanent expenses are much more powerful than temporary pleasures. So when your income increases, don't automatically turn temporary income growth into permanent obligations. Here's a practical system you can use every time your income increases. Before upgrading your lifestyle, ask 3 questions. Question 1. Does this improve my life or merely signal my success? That's uncomfortable, but it's important. Are you buying the thing because it genuinely serves your family, your work, your health, or your purpose? Or because you want other people to see that you've moved up? Proverbs 16:18 warns us about pride, and money can make pride very expensive. Question 2. Is this a one-time expense or a permanent commitment? This question can save you thousands. If you receive a $10,000 bonus, spending $2,000 on something you've genuinely planned for is one thing. Using the bonus as justification for taking on a $900 monthly payment is completely different. One consumes part of your money, the other consumes part of your future. Question 3. What percentage of this increase will I keep? This is where the lifestyle ceiling comes in. Let's say your income increases by $1,000. Don't automatically give yourself the entire $1,000. You might decide $300 toward investing, $200 toward debt, $150 toward giving, $150 toward savings, and perhaps $200 toward improving your lifestyle. Now you're enjoying the increase without allowing the increase to consume you. You don't have to use those exact percentages. The principle is what matters. Give your raise a purpose before your lifestyle gives it one. One of the most powerful things you can do with increasing income is create a larger gap between what you earn and what you spend. That gap is where financial freedom is built. Savings live there, investments live there, generosity lives there, debt repayment lives there, emergency funds live there, opportunities live there, and eventually your ability to say no to things that don't align with your values lives there too. If you earn $5,000 and spend $4,950, you're financially fragile. If you earn $5,000 and spend $3,500, you have options. If your income rises to $7,000 and your expenses rise to $6,900, you've made more money without necessarily creating more freedom. But if your income rises to $7,000 and you keep your expenses around $4,000 or $4,500, something powerful happens. Your income isn't just paying for your present, it's building your future. The biblical concept of stewardship asks a different question from modern consumer culture. Consumer culture asks, what can I afford? Stewardship asks, what has God entrusted to me? Those questions sound similar, they're not. If you think everything you earn exists primarily to improve your lifestyle, you'll probably spend most of it. But if you see your income as something entrusted to you, you'll begin thinking about purpose. How much should I keep? How much should I give? How much should I invest? How much should I save? How much should I use to care for my family? How much should I use to serve others? Suddenly, money becomes more than consumption. It becomes a tool. And here's something important. The answer isn't to become miserable. You don't need to refuse every upgrade. You don't need to feel guilty every time you buy something nice. You don't need to live permanently at the same standard you had 10 years ago. The goal isn't deprivation. The goal is intentionality. Enjoy your progress. Just don't let your progress become a prison. If God increases your income, let some of that increase improve your life. But let some of it improve your financial position too. Let some of it buy back your future. Let some of it create generosity. Let some of it create options. Let some of it build something that will outlive your paycheck. Because eventually the question won't be, how much did I earn? It will be, what did I do with what I was given? So here's your challenge for this week. Look at the last time your income increased. A raise, a promotion, a new job, a business breakthrough, a side hustle, a bonus, whatever it was. Now ask yourself, where did the extra money actually go? Don't judge yourself, just look. If your income increased by $1,000 and your lifestyle increased by $900, you've discovered something important. You don't necessarily have an income problem. You may have a lifestyle problem. And the good news is that lifestyle can be changed. You can decide that your next raise won't disappear. You can decide that your next financial breakthrough will create more than a nicer lifestyle. It will create more freedom, more generosity, more security, more opportunity, more capacity, and more stewardship. Proverbs 21:20 says, "The wise store up choice food and olive oil, but fools gulp theirs down." That's not a command to live cheaply. It's a warning against consuming everything simply because you have access to it. The wise person doesn't ask only, "Can I afford this?" The wise person asks, "What will this decision do to my future?" And that may be one of the most important financial questions you ever learn to ask. If this video challenged the way you think about money, don't just watch it and move on. Take a look at your lifestyle. Find one expense that grew simply because your income grew. Then decide whether it still deserves the space it's taking in your financial life. Because more money doesn't automatically create wealth, wisdom does. And that's exactly what we're pursuing here at Kingdom Finances. Learning to handle money not merely to become richer, but to become wiser stewards of what God puts in our hands. If you want more practical biblical teaching about earning, saving, investing, giving, and building a financially responsible life, subscribe to Kingdom Finances. And I'll see you in the next one.